Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never thought a simple work party could change everything about my life. But that Thursday night at the annual company gala, I realized that some people are willing to erase you from existence just to make themselves look bigger. My name is Oliver, and I'd been dating Claire for almost 3 years. We had a relationship that most would call solid. We laughed, we argued, we supported each other through the small and big things. Or at least I thought so. Claire was ambitious, brilliant, and had a charm that could light up a room. I loved that about her, how she could walk into any situation and instantly become the center of attention. But tonight, at her boss's party, that charm turned into a weapon aimed straight at me. We arrived together, me in a simple navy suit, trying to look respectable but not flashy. Claire, on the other hand, had on a shimmering gold dress that seemed to glow under the chandeliers. She was radiant, the kind of presence that makes everyone forget everything else. And apparently, she forgot I existed. At first, I tried to blend in, telling myself this was just one of those nights where Claire needed to shine. But within 10 minutes, I noticed the small, sharp glances. Her boss, Mr. Whitaker, an older man with a booming laugh and a taste for drama, approached her. She smiled, flirted just enough to make him laugh, and then there was that pause, the one where she ignored my greeting entirely, as if I weren't even standing there. Cleared my throat. "Hey, Claire, I got us some champagne." She looked at me briefly, nodded mechanically, and turned her attention back to the group around her. Not just a casual distraction. She was laughing at his jokes, leaning in close, her hand brushing his arm as if he was the only person in the room. I felt my chest tighten. I've always been a patient guy. I understood boundaries. I understood social niceties. But this wasn't subtle. It was deliberate. She was performing and I was the invisible audience. I wandered a bit toward the balcony to get some air, trying to calm the sudden surge of heat in my face. The city lights stretched beneath us, and for a moment, I imagined that outside this room, none of it mattered. No pretense, no charm, no performance. But when I peeked back inside, the scene hadn't changed. Claire was still smiling at Mr. Whitaker, laughing at every word, leaning closer with a boldness that made my stomach knot. I stepped back into the party, trying to act normal, trying to remind myself this was just one night, that maybe she didn't realize how it felt to be treated like a ghost. But then came the real kicker. A coworker I barely knew, Julia, came up to Claire, whispering something that made her giggle, and I swear, her eyes sparkled with delight, entirely at my expense. At that moment, something inside me snapped. Not rage exactly, but a clear, cold certainty. I walked toward her, leaned down slightly and said softly, "Claire, I think I'm going to get some air outside." No one needed to see me storm off. No words, no scene, just a decision, and I turned away. As I walked through the lobby and out onto the quiet street, I felt the cool night air wash over me. The distant sound of the party faded, replaced by the steady hum of cars and the occasional chatter from late-night passers-by. And for the first time that evening, I felt a strange sense of clarity. It wasn't about the attention she was giving Mr. Whitaker. It wasn't even about the humiliation of being ignored in front of friends, colleagues, and strangers. It was about respect, about being seen, about knowing that someone you've cared for, someone you've shared years with, doesn't casually pretend you don't exist. That kind of erasure stings more than any argument, more than any betrayal. I didn't know how long I stood there, staring at the city skyline, letting the tension slip away. But when my phone buzzed, I almost didn't want to look. It was a message from Claire, just her name and a winking emoji. A little trivial, playful, meaningless in the face of what had just happened. And in that instant, I realized that no amount of charm, no amount of laughter, could undo the way I felt, the clarity that had settled like ice in my chest. I pocketed my phone, exhaled, and started walking down the street. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what would happen next. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going back into that room pretending everything was fine. I wandered for what felt like hours, the streets mostly empty, streetlights casting long shadows that seemed to mirror the unease in my mind. I replayed the scene over and over, the bold laughter, the way Claire leaned into everyone else while ignoring me completely. Each time I thought about it, the heat in my chest returned, sharper than before. But now it was tempered by resolve. I had made my choice. I wasn't going back inside. I found myself at a small cafe still open late. I sat by the window, watching the occasional car glide past, the neon signs flickering like they were keeping time with my thoughts. That's when my phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from my best friend, Liam. "Where are you, man? I thought you said you'd be home," he said, concern threading his voice. "I needed some air," I admitted, not wanting to spill all the details yet. "Air? Dude, you sound like you just got hit by a truck. Talk to me." I hesitated, then finally let the words tumble out. "It's Claire. At her boss's party. She completely ignored me, like I didn't exist, laughing, flirting, right in front of everyone. I couldn't stay there, Liam. I just walked out." There was silence on the other end for a moment. Then Liam's familiar, steady voice said, "Good. Good on you. Some things you just don't let slide. You walk out, you show them that you won't be treated like a ghost." Hearing that, something inside me loosened. I hadn't realized how trapped I felt until I'd taken action. It wasn't dramatic. There were no raised voices, no confrontation, just a choice. But it was mine, and that mattered. By the time I returned home, the night had grown quieter. I opened the door and found the apartment dimly lit, Claire nowhere in sight. She must have gone straight from the party. Normally, I would have worried, called, texted, maybe even tried to justify her behavior in my head. But tonight was different. I poured a glass of water, sat on the couch, and let myself just feel the relief of not being there, of not being part of her performance. The next morning, I received a message from her. Just one line, almost casual. "You left last night. Did you have fun?" My stomach twisted. I could have explained, could have tried to justify my feelings. But instead, I typed back simply, "I did what I needed to do. And yes, I did have fun." Her reply came almost immediately, "Fine. But don't be dramatic about it." I smiled faintly. Dramatic? Maybe. But I realized that the drama had already played out, and I hadn't been part of it. I wasn't reacting to her whims anymore. I was observing them from a distance, calm and deliberate. Later that day, I received a text from a mutual friend, Harper, who had also been at the party. "Oliver, everyone noticed. You leaving? Total power move." She looked shocked. People were talking. Power move. I chuckled softly. I hadn't planned it as a show. I hadn't considered how the crowd would perceive it. But the realization hit me. By taking myself out of the performance, I had shifted the power entirely. By evening, Claire showed up at my door. Her expression was unreadable. A mixture of surprise and something else I couldn't quite place. "Oliver, can we talk?" she asked. I studied her face carefully, noticing for the first time that the sparkle she displayed at the party was gone. The charm that had made her the center of attention now seemed fragile, like a carefully constructed mask. I nodded slowly. "Sure, but I need you to understand something first. Last night wasn't about anyone else. It was about me realizing my own worth. And if you can't see me, truly see me, then nothing I say will change that." She swallowed hard, and for a long moment, there was silence. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "I didn't realize. I didn't know how it made you feel." I didn't respond. I let her words hang there in the quiet. Some lessons can't be taught. Some truths have to be felt. Over the next few days, things changed between us. Not dramatically, not with grand gestures. But I noticed she started including me again, asking about my day, acknowledging my presence. The contrast was stark, from being erased to being seen. And the clarity that had begun the night I walked out remained. Respect isn't earned by pleading or pleading. It's acknowledged when boundaries are set and self-worth is recognized. Looking back now, I realize that night was a turning point. Not just in our relationship, but in myself. I learned that sometimes, Silence speaks louder than words. Walking away isn't always about anger. Sometimes it's about giving yourself the space to be seen, to be valued, and to demand nothing less than that. And as for Claire, she learned something too. Not through arguments or guilt trips, but through the simplest, clearest action possible. I walked out. The crowd watched, she watched, and in that quiet moment we both understood that respect is not given freely. It's recognized when someone refuses to settle for less. And in that understanding, I found something I hadn't realized I was missing all along. A sense of peace, a measure of power, and the clarity to know that I would never allow myself to be invisible again.